Hello, good evening. My name is Malik Abbas Dabu. Welcome to Personality Profile on PM Express. If you look behind me, you will see a lot of waste wood. Today we are talking about how one person has turned this waste wood into something beautiful, something fabulous, like this very beautiful candle stand. Today we are talking to the carpenter for Personality Profile on PM Express. Stay tuned. You're welcome back. My guest tonight is Audrey Forson. Audrey Forson, you're welcome to Personality Profile on PM Express.
Thank you, Malik. Thank you for having me.
They call you the lady carpenter. Fair description?
Yeah. In the 21st century, I'd say hell yes. Fair description.
But that's, you do more than just carpentry.
Oh, yes. Carpentry is only an aspect of what I do. I'm a designer. From birth, I could draw, paint anywhere on the floor, on the walls, and as I grew up, I turned that into my career. So I design furniture, and then I work with clients and interior decorators to actually make them and then sell it to them.
When I hear designer, I think about clothes. How does one design furniture?
It's probably still at conception stage in Ghana. Most people ask me, furniture designer, what does that mean? The average, the middle class Ghanaian, the upper class Ghanaian is developing a taste for fine ethnic products, and that's where I come in. So you don't want to buy your carpentry products like your tables and your stools from the roadside anymore, because you want your home to look good. I mean, after a long day's work, you want to go home into your mansion, your palace, and then relax and enjoy it. So why not make very beautiful furniture that, you know, connects with your personality, with your identity as an African? And then I make that. So I come in to design, you know, bespoke pieces to suit people, to suit homes, offices, wherever. And then I make it for them.
And I see a lot of African designs all around us, very symbolic of the African.
Yeah.
And you spoke about growing up. When you were growing up, did you play with dolls? Would you say that influenced your interest in what you do now?
Interesting. My entire childhood influenced my career now. When I was younger, my sister and I would play all sorts of...
And when you say your sister, you're talking about your twin sister?
Yes, my twin sister, Francisca Forson.
Who looked very much like
Exactly, we're identical twins. We were very creative young girls. We would get dolls, you know, build houses for them, create things. We had a little farm. We would prey on the neighbors' chickens and all those things. Just, you know, when you're a kid, you're bored with school and homework and all of that. So you're looking for an outlet where you can be you, have some fun. And drawing, painting, creating these things, playing with clay, all of those things. Then we probably thought we're just having fun, but it's kind of shaping me into who I am now. Because when I look back, I ask myself, without this experience, without this, I call it opportunity, would I be doing this? Because I love my work, I must say. I love my work. And without the experience as a child, I'd probably, no offense to anybody sitting in an office, but I'll probably be stuck in an office doing a desk job.
And pushing papers.
Exactly, and I wouldn't be happy.
How did mom and dad find that knack for paintings and drawing and things when others of your age were probably consumed in books and novels and all of that?
Well, my parents were disciplinarians, so you could have your little playtime and still go back to your books. So we were very much, you know, involved in studying. I mean, you come from school, before you have lunch, you should do your homework. And you should get all answers correct before mommy gives you lunch. So yeah, they were very strict. But my dad especially, he's also an artist. And then he trained as a carpenter. So, and as an accountant.
So that's why you are a lady carpenter. So it's in the family.
Yeah, it's in the genes, and it's something I've grown to love. So he would encourage me. He would gather his old diaries. He would buy me poster colors, colored pencils, paint brushes, and he would encourage me to, you know, paint. He would send it to his work and show it to his colleagues, and they reinforced the skill. You know, they give you this, oh wow, you did that.
Positive review.
Exactly. And as a kid, that's probably what you're looking forward to a day in a day. Like, oh, that's lovely. You know, I could stray, you know, outside, find myself standing in front of a church or a hospital or a school, and I'm just drawing. It got me into trouble, but hey, I'm glad I did all those things.
Looking at your hair, a lot of ladies like to wear long hair, perm. You wear short hair. It's rasta. Is that right? This is rasta.
This is twist, actually. Twist.
Okay. And I see Francisca wear a similar one. Were you a tomboy growing up?
Oh, very much, yeah. Should I say I missed or I let down an opportunity to be part of the Black Queens, my sister and I actually. We were footballers. We still are footballers.
Good at football.
Yeah, very, very, very good at football. In the school team, up to university level, captain of the team. So it was interesting. I love to play with the boys, bare-chested, but I don't do that anymore. I love to play with the boys. I had some kids next door. We would play football, small poles. I bet you know what small poles are.
Absolutely.
We would play small poles. I lost a toenail because of that. I'd climb up the poly tank just to see the water level, and I'd trip and fall and, you know, shake it off. I guess I have a big brother, and my sister and I, we hanged out a lot with him whilst growing up. So because the age gap was shorter, 3 years, so we spent a lot of time together. And it was either his way or no way. So you have to stick with him. And eventually we warmed up to it, playing video games, you know, Mortal Kombat, getting beat up and, you know, trying to move, you know, also win. So yeah.
Typical tomboy.
Yeah.
How did the boys in your neighborhood, the boys in school, how did they take it? These girls who like to play with the boys, they play football, that's what the boys do. Instead of going to play ampe, you like to come and play football.
Oh, I did play ampe and managed to get some of the boys to come over, but you know how boys are. They loved the fact that girls were with them. I remember my schoolmates, they look forward to, we all look forward to assembly mornings because we're going to talk about the late night movie. It was a guy thing and we were involved. So feedback from the guys was positive. I mean, they look forward to playing football with you. They look forward to doing stuff. You're in their domain, so they're happy, they're comfortable. That's how it is.
So you played football, you did drawing, you played with the boys. It means there was no ceiling for you.
No, not really. Not really. As I grew up and went to secondary school, I got involved in entertainment, sports again, so I was running athletics. I probably get bored too easily, and so I'm always looking for something. I'm looking for a new drive. So that's probably what kept me going. I want to do this, experience it, move on to the next chapter, you know.
It appears right from childhood you have been used to doing that which the opposite sex would do. So the boys play football, you go and play football.
Yeah.
It's dad who is the carpenter, and then you become the carpenter. I know of this incident at TV3 where you met someone who was doing what is typically that of the ladies, makeup artist.
You're good.
Tell me about that incident.
So I actually posted that on my Facebook wall because I found it interesting. I don't know, I thought it was an interesting scenario, seeing myself as a carpenter and being a woman, and the gentleman I met was a makeup artist and a man. We're like two people in quotes the wrong world. In quotes.
In quotes.
Society will probably perceive it, maybe not now, some years before, as the wrong world. And he was amazing. I looked at myself in the mirror and I'm like, wow, a guy can actually make me up, and so I look like a doll.
How did he do?
He was amazing. We're actually in touch. I stayed in touch because I think I will need him to do more, you know, make me up anytime. I don't know. I think he's excellent. And I believe I'm excellent too. And I think the two of us...
You are excellent.
Thank you. I think the two of us represent something very important in society, that there are no barriers. Especially for young people, should you want to do something, you have to have in your mind that there are no barriers. I can do it. It doesn't matter I believe in equity for women. Let's not say, oh, go to the kitchen. Let's not say, oh, do the washing or the sweeping, or sweeping is for girls and carrying tables is for boys. There are girls who can carry tables and there are boys who can sweep and do it perfectly. And this gentleman and I were typical examples.
You're welcome back. I'm talking to the carpenter, and we just took a step out of her gallery to see what's happening outside of the gallery. We are in the garden, and I'm talking to Audrey Forson. Audrey, you're welcome back.
Thank you.
We were talking about this experience at TV3, where you came across a gentleman who was in a typically female-dominated area, and how that was interesting to you. Have you come across any prejudice in this male-dominated area? Because you are into carpentry, designing, you say.
Maybe because I was a tomboy all my life, I didn't really see things in that sense. But I've had certain experiences with some of my workers. The initial stages are a bit rough. They're wondering, I'm not just a woman, I'm a petite woman. That makes my issue even worse. So they're wondering why this tiny little girl is giving me instructions. But I engage them, I make them see that it's a partnership here. Make them understand what my goal is, what exactly I want to do. And if their vision, my vision is in sync, we work together. So that's how it's been. On the outside, I'd say most people are fascinated. A few people wonder, like, do you really know what you're doing? Just go and get some beads and sell. Do what girls do, but it's been generally positive.
So the expectation the ladies should be dealing with beads, not wood.
Yes, you know, there are certain jobs, certain activities that are characterized as women's kinds of jobs. So should you go into something that isn't? People are wondering, and carpentry is intensive. It's not just, trust me, it's not just tables and stools. The whole process is tedious and stressful and at the same time exciting. So they're wondering why you would want to put yourself through all that stress, right? When, if it's business you want to do, somebody actually told me this, if it's business you want to do, why don't you sell jewelry or something? Why do you want to stress yourself out? But I love to create things. I love to make things. Ever since, I don't know, as young as I can remember, I like to do things with my hands.
Mom and Dad started this business in 2000, Tekura. At what point did you decide that you wanted to work for the family business instead of, like Francisca did, going to look for a job probably at multimedia or some other bank or something?
Francisca, by the way, is a very helpful element in the business. She contributes a whole lot that it's probably behind the scenes.
Is she as creative as you are?
Since I'm on TV, I said, no, I'm the creative one. But I'd say, once again, I was bored. I was actually in the university, my third year. I decided not to go for lectures, be a typical Legon student and waste time. But then I got bored, so I'm like, you know what? Let me go find myself attachments. I actually considered Standard Chartered Bank and they turned me down. I wanted to do internships just to have something on my CV. Because, I mean, you're in school, you always think about, hey, I have to create a nice CV that I can use to go and look for employment. So I got a letter from the school, tried a couple of banks, it didn't work out. And I was frustrated. I was like, what am I going to do? I need to get some work experience. I hadn't thought about it. Hadn't hit me yet that I was sitting, should I say, in a basin of opportunity. Then I was like,
you were looking outside.
Yeah, I was looking outside. That's, you see, it's rather unfortunate, but when you school in Ghana, your mindset is look for a job, office job, shirt and tie job. You don't think about rather identifying problems and using your skills to creating a solution. So in my bid to, you know, do internship, and I was like, you know, my mom's got a company. Why don't I just go help around and, you know, at least I'll get it on my CV that I worked here and there and did this and that.
So you had to be refused for you to come back to mom's business.
Doesn't God work in interesting ways? I know. So I do this, I come around, and trust me, mom needed a good reason. She was not just going to take you on and say, oh, you're my daughter, pat on the back, come and work. No, no,
so
no.
you had to convince her.
Justify your inclusion. I was working in the office. I was typing letters. I was cleaning the office. I was filing documents. I was doing the job of an intern, running around doing errands. Worst case is when I learned how to drive. That means you're going to do all the shopping for the... So I was running...
I saw you driving a truck. I was wondering why the lady is driving a truck. Then I remembered, okay, you are the carpenter.
Exactly. I was actually going to say that she's the carpenter. But then it's helpful for my work. I get to carry as many products. I get to have a lot of... I've got the bucket gives me room for, you know, packing a whole lot of stuff.
So you learned how to drive, and then...
Whilst doing this, my tasks were getting broader. So one of the things I had to do was, you know, it started out as an export company. She was making typical craft, my mom, like masks and figurines, and then she was exporting to US and to Europe. So whatever was left of the exports, because sometimes you have to, you know, produce extra for inventory, just in case of any emergencies. So whatever was left in excess, my task was to attend embassy exhibitions and sell them off.
A funny way of selling them.
Try to make money out of it.
So you became a sales girl.
Yeah. So that's, you see, yeah. So we're going for exhibitions. People see the stuff. Oh, wow, they're lovely. We love them. Are they made in Ghana? That question was going on and on for a while. Then I remember this because for me it was the starting point for me. A client actually walked to me, and fortunately she still is a client of mine. She says, Audrey, your things are very beautiful and I love them, but do you make things for the home? Should I want to change my home, you know, give it a more African look? Can you do that? I'm sure you're wondering my response, right? I'm like, oh yeah, we can do that. I have no clue.
You hadn't done it before.
I had never even touched wood. Like, I had no clue whatsoever.
Was that an instinctive answer, or it was processed?
It was more of instinct because, and just probably a little bit of processing. I said, oh, I did a bit of thinking, like, my mom's got a workshop, she's got artisans, they've got the materials. I'm sure I can put two and two together, and I had no clue.
You had to process it in a split second.
Exactly. And I said, oh yeah, we can do this. Like, okay. She bought a couple of things, gave me her contacts, and I got in touch. And I eventually did the pieces. She did a dining... Oh boy, did I suffer. She did a dining set and then a center table and a couple of other things for her living room. It was the toughest job ever.
Because?
At the time, because I had no experience in carpentry. I had to learn on the job. So it's interesting, but the people I employ to work for me, I learn from them. So I'm running around with them. How do you do this? Asking questions, helping out so that I get the understanding. So if I take a table, I know how it's made. If it's joinery, I know if you're using a dovetail joint. To understand what carpentry is all about, you can't, I believe you have to be a master of your art. You have to, you know your craft. To convince people to buy and people to even patronize, you have to know what you're talking about. So fine, I may have just jumped into it, right? But I thought I should learn the whole process.
So when you finished the job for this client, what was the reaction?
Initially she was, should I say it was a mixed feeling. Like, she was happy about it. Then I had a problem with one of the products, but I sorted that out. And trust me, I learned my lessons from that. She was happy with them. I still produce for her. I did her restaurant not too long ago. So, and she was very lenient with me, I must say. She was very, because I had no clue how much production time I needed. I didn't understand all of these things. I just said, okay, maybe a month, because it's wood. I didn't consider the nature of the wood, what season we were in, how much sunshine am I going to have. I didn't even bring in behavior patterns of my artisans. You know, you have to consider all these things before you actually send out a message to your client that I'm going to use this amount of time to make the product, the table. Or
when I look at you, you don't have bulging tendons and biceps. Is carpentry a job for strong people?
No.
What do you say?
I believe most life is about your mind. It's your state of mind. I believe happiness even is a state of mind. So if you're talking about strength, right, I literally can roll a log from where we store them to the bandsaw machine. And I don't need to carry it. You have to think smart. You have to be smart. I don't have physical strength probably as much as you do. I read somewhere women have 30% less body mass. But I can use my brain, right, to try.
Achieve the same results.
Yes, yes.
Would you say the team that you have, in the selection process, how difficult was it in choosing the people to work with and the skills that they have? Because judging by what we have seen in your gallery, it's as if you don't compromise on quality.
Oh,
how
we don't.
do you select the people that will produce the quality that will meet the taste of your clients?
For me, it's about your culture as an organization, who you are, what you believe in. If you're able to sink that into the minds, you can use anybody to do anything. If you're able to sink that idea, that culture, that belief into their minds that, okay, Tekura wants excellence, Tekura wants quality, then fine, they could go work for somebody and compromise on quality, but they know that, and they actually know it and say it. As for Tekura, they want it this way, they want it that way. So it's about getting what you're thinking, like who you are as a brand, as a business, into the minds of you have to be in sync with your artisans. It doesn't really matter who the artisan is, it's the work you are going to do with that person for him or her to understand your vision. And
you are an African woman.
Yeah.
Would you say your products are a reflection of your person?
Absolutely. I did a talk on TEDx, and I was talking about the features of my product, and I talked about our culture. Unfortunately, Africans, not just Ghanaians, we've been, how do I say it? We've been beat up with imports from Turkey and China and Italy, especially when it comes to furniture and home decor products. You barely see any authentic, high-quality design furniture products in Ghana.
Because if I buy furniture made in Ghana, I cannot trust that after a few months, we will not have termites chewing the furniture.
Not with Tekura. That was then. We've identified all of these things. I was buying furniture off the road as well at a point. My family was, but having identified all these, that's the essence of, my dad would say, going to the university, identifying the problems. So we try to give our customers more, because they're always thinking about that. If I buy this made in Ghana table, I'm going to have problems later on. What problems? Termites, breakage, whatever. So we put all these into consideration, and we're working with carpentry.
And the legs of the tables will be longer than one another. So
I know. So it requires a lot of supervision. You literally have to be there at almost every stage to get, because first of all, I interact with the customer. So I have an idea, a fair idea of what the customer wants. And I'm supposed, that's the hard part of the work, I'm supposed to communicate that to my artisans. And it's not easy, even having a chat with people. You know how communication can be difficult, ambiguity and all of that. So you have to be able to, connect that link between your customer and then your
Looking
your
at the
staff.
items in the gallery and those around us, it would seem to me it's total African. You are a total African woman. African emphasize femininity. How are you able to balance this Africanness and what you do, which is carpentry and which is a male-dominated profession?
Well, I must say I'm a proud African. I love that God put me into this race. I would not opt for any other. Carpentry, fine, probably was brought in by the Western people, but at the end of the day, man had to sit, man had to lie down. And if you look at our designs, for instance, I've got a very beautiful stool called Sika stool. Originally, the idea was our forefathers go to the farm, they work hard, they cut down trees, whatever. Then they get tired, they need to relax, they need to sit down and eat before they go back. So they cut logs, right? And then they use the cutlass to just carve out hole in the middle, just a hole so that it doesn't crack. it brings out the pressure. That doesn't. It can take its time to dry.
There was some science.
Yes. And so what we did, Tekura did really, was to just pick that idea and transform it into a top-class design, really. So being African helps, because there's so much creativity in us, we have no clue. I don't even have that. I don't know much about it. We have no clue. There's so much creativity in us. There's so much ideas. Like, sometimes I go to the bush with my...
So you go to the bush?
Yes.
Where?
We go to Aprokumase or Dan to source the wood. We don't use timber, we use logs, offcuts, what's considered as firewood by villagers in those communities. So we have a relationship with the Forestry Commission, and then we secure a permit to gather these logs, which probably would have been used as firewood, and then we bring them here and work on them to make the furniture pieces. I should see you in the bush. With my jeans and my t-shirt and my cap and my sneakers. So we go there, and then just walking around, I get all these ideas, you know, and then I just take my either my tablet or my sketchbook, and I'm just putting it down. You know, it could be a drawing, it could be a write. I just look around, even in other African countries. I just look around and I'm like, my goodness, there's so much creativity, and not everybody sees that.
So you don't buy the idea that Africans are not creative?
No. I believe creativity started right here in Africa.
At what time of day, at what place, during what, are you at your creative best?
Wow. My creative best would be like 3 a.m., 4 a.m. in the morning.
Why?
Because I have a fresh mind. I'm just coming from bed. I just woke up. Usually, when I want to do my designs for clients, I usually wake up at that time and then do a bit and then just go back to other things. Because at that time, my brain is, I believe my brain is active, and I have a fresh mind. My mind is clear, and I can just close my eyes and start to picture all sorts of things, you know.
You were talking about people coming up to you and telling you, why not beads? Why are you into wood? Because you could have still been creative, but be creative in beads or fabric. Yeah. Why wood?
Besides the fact that it happened by chance, because I was looking for internship.
So it was purely coincidental. It was not planned.
Yeah, but I still could have I had a choice to walk out of it any time, right? But I stayed in. Majority of my clients are expatriates, and my interactions with them opened my mind to a whole lot about wood that we do not appreciate as Africans. I assume because we have trees all over, we do not value it as much. One client actually told me wood is for the sophisticated in America. You know, it's expensive. It's for people with fine taste. And I'm like, wow, we have that here.
In abundance.
In abundance.
Audrey,
you know?
We have to take a break at this point. When we come back, we will continue with this discussion with the carpenter. You're welcome back. We are talking to the carpenter, who, by the way, is in a hurry to go and eat her kelewele. Audrey, everything I have seen here is African, and you said it's a reflection of who you are, an African woman. But obviously, these things are not for the ordinary Ghanaian. They are for the bourgeois. Those in the high class, the East Legons, and all of those people.
You don't look badly dressed yourself. You could afford all of these things. It depends on what you mean by bourgeois. Ghana is a growing middle class. Like the economy is growing.
You may be deceived by what I'm wearing.
I don't know, but you'll be impressed by how much growth we've had with our local Ghanaian clientele since we started. There's a market here, and trust me, it has nothing to do with bourgeoisie or whatever. It's about connecting with your identity as an African. So, yes, it's quality. Yes, it's good stuff. That's who we are. That's what Tekura is about. But at the same time, we're not focusing on Europeans per se or Americans per se. We say furniture made by Africans for Africans and those who love African art. So the first word is Africans. we make it for our own people. We make it for us, right?
But it's curious that a larger majority of your clientele is expatriates.
Expatriates. It's rather unfortunate, I must say, but we're in a changing era. There's been a period where we've, should I say, looked down on things that were made in Ghana, either because the quality was low or we were brainwashed. I don't know, but now we're embracing our culture. You walk around and you see young men wearing batakari. I never ever, on campus, I never ever thought a day would come I'd see that. Young girls with their natural hair puffed up, wearing African prints, made dresses, etc. We're going back to our roots. And that's the key part. If this goes for all African countries.
It's not too slow.
It's a little slow. But we must appreciate the fact that it's happening, right? In the 90s, I probably not be in business, because who was going to buy this? No, they'd rather buy some Italian tables or something. But it's slow, but I think it's work in progress. Give it 5-10 years and it will get better. We will now probably have a proper understanding of who we are and embrace the things made here. And it's also a challenge to local producers to work really hard.
That was my next point.
Yeah.
Because apart from Tekura, you would find that a lot of the artisans are roadside, wayside people. They produce equipment that you can't rely on.
True.
To the extent that
True.
Parliament, the sovereign Parliament of Ghana, had to go to China to buy
Well,
chairs.
Parliament could have just given me a call, right? Say, Audrey, I want you to make this, that for me. And I say, okay, let's have a meeting. And I mean, look around you. The things are beautiful and they're made right here by the same roadside artisans that you see who make low quality stuff for you. It's about organizing people, really. And I believe we're Ghanaians, we know each other. We have the resource. If you go to art center, the number of skillful people there, I just wish I could. I can't, but I really wish I could employ all of them, because they just need somebody to bring them together, give them the vision, and then go. Exactly. Most of them there are concentrating on poverty issues. I'm hungry, I need to get food, so let me just put things together and then sell on the road and get money. But should he have this, I wake up, I come to work, Tekura, oh, there's a client who comes and purpose, right? So I feel really bad sometimes when I drive to art center, because I'm like, this is talent being thrown away. But you can only do as much or as little as you can.
Tekura is an example of African excellence. I do know that you have some awards that the company has won on account of this excellent work. Share with us some of them.
Oh, yeah. In 2008, we won the SME sector, trade sector business for Africa in Cape Town. So my mom actually picked that award up. We're competing with one other Ghanaian business and I think 2 South African businesses. We've been recognized as the go-to furniture store by a huge Aussie living a huge Australian furniture industry business in.
So your recognitions both come from outside Ghana? Yes,
and we were featured on CNN as the Ghana's carving company, talking about how we transform waste wood into beautiful products. So I talked about this on TEDx. The guys came up to me and like, wow, you're just next door. We didn't know this and this is what you do.
And I heard you on the Super Morning Show on Joy FM.
Yes, as well. Yeah, to talk about, it's good when you get the platform to talk about this, because it gives all of us hope, right? There's hope for the future. Sometimes things are tough, but when you hear when I hear these stories, I have hope. Like, okay, don't give up. There's no light, but you still have to get your furniture done. It gives you hope for the future.
Do you think there's too much hopelessness in our society?
I'd say young people are losing it. Really, they're losing hope. It's tough. It's tough, but the good thing is, nothing is impossible. If you're able to imbibe that, you could go anywhere. you could go to the moon if you want to. I think we need to talk more about the good things in Ghana, what people are doing. That's making the news all over the world. We need to share these with our young people, with the youth, to inspire them, you know, revive that hope. We really need that.
We can't finish this interview without talking about family.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I work with Francisca Kakra Forson, Audrey's twin sister, and I always tell her that I like your name better than Francisca.
I know I like my name better as well.
And you and Francisca are twin sisters. How frequently do people come up to you? She's in the media, you are not. How frequently do people come up to you and call you Francisca?
Story of my life. It's funny because she hardly gets those experiences, and I always do. I'm driving and somebody just goes, beep, 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 and I just like, hi, you're Francisca Kakra Forson, right? Sometimes I just play along, yeah, I'm fine, how are you? Sometimes I'm like, no, this is the other one. Like, oh, right. I become used to it anyways. I actually had to pose for a picture. I told the gentleman, I'm not Francisca. He's like, yeah, but I need a picture with Francisca, and I have you, so I'll settle for that. You know, I've become used to it. She's doing amazingly well, so it's not so bad to pretend to be her.
So you can take the glory some.
Precisely.
How close is the family?
My family is very close. My two older siblings, I've got the first is a girl and then the second is a boy. They're married off, but I don't know, it's like a ritual. Every weekend they come around. We're really close. First person I think about when I wake up is my twin sister. I don't know why. I've been asking myself this question since. Why do I think about her? I don't know. Probably when I marry, my husband will not be too happy.
Your resemblance is striking.
Really?
You talk like her, you walk like
I
her,
do
the way you
not.
tilt your head.
In
fact, the way you laugh.
Okay, I don't know how to react now because everything I do is going to look like.
In fact, your glasses sometimes look alike.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
But you know what? Since we were kids, we've had this, even when you don't dress alike, people see it like, are you twins? When you dress alike, they still ask you, are you twins? And so we're like, you know what? We should stop doing this. Mommy was forcing us to do that. We boycotted it, and we, you know, when we got to the teenage stages, we were able to completely stop that. But I don't know, it's probably how God created twins. It happens sometimes that wherever she is, wherever I am, we wake up, we have some clothes that I like, we see stuff and we buy, and it's probably the same style. So she picks, let's say, her blue dress, and I pick my blue dress. And then we wear it at this. Yeah, it's happened several times. And it's funny because we're working so hard not to look alike. And then
the harder you work not to look
exactly.
alike, the more you look alike.
Exactly. So you probably just stop. Sometimes it's like, Charlie, I'm wearing this. What are you wearing? Like, no, I'm wearing it. So go and change it, you know. It happens.
I'm interested in the naming of Tekura.
Oh, yeah. Now, that's I call it a love story, a product made from love. My daddy is called Kweku Techi. We're Fantis. Both parents are Fantis. And my mom's called...
That's why it's a reflection in the English language, the quality of English language.
Oh, really? From the carpenter?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let me just say. So my mom is Abba Kranchua. And I wasn't there, but here's how it worked. They played with it, Techi and Kranchua, you know. How's it going to go? How's it going to go? And they came up with Tekura. And by the way, I'm named after my dad. So I'm Techiwa. So I'm in there somewhere.
So is the reason... Between the two of you, you are the one who comes to work for the family business.
Yeah, I kind of fell in love with the whole idea of Tekura, really. I kind of fell in love with it.
How do you see Tekura in the next 5, 10, 15 years?
That's a question
Do you see yourself ever leaving this business to go do something else?
Leaving, no. Definitely no. This business is, let me just say, I see Tekura in 10 years as the Dangote in my industry, the Dangote in the furniture and home decor industry. It's going to be a brand that everybody identifies with, every African, even non-Africans identify with. It's going to live, I'm going to die and move on, and my kids, the next generation, is going to move on from one generation to the other. It's not just going to end with me or my kids. It's going to go on. and it's going to be a Ghanaian, an African thing that we're going to be proud of.
So if you marry a man who is not a carpenter, and I'm not going to ask whether there's a man in the pipeline who is not a carpenter. But if you marry a man who is not a carpenter, how would you reconcile, depending on what he does?
I get asked this question a lot by younger ladies. How are you going to manage that? I believe.
But is he a carpenter?
Let's not talk about that. Let me answer your question. I believe that marriage should be about finding the right partner. Not a perfect human being, but somebody who understands who you are and what you do. If you meet me, you meet Tekura. I am my brand. I live my brand. And so you're going to understand and appreciate what I do. And if that doesn't work for you, then it probably won't work out. But if you do understand and appreciate that Audrey means Tekura and Tekura means Audrey, you'd rather be supportive and even contribute to my work, you know?
Have you had the situation where somebody who has eyes for Francisca
I can't believe you're asking me this question on TV.
and runs after you?
Should I answer this? I need her consent to
You're not telling us who.
No. Usually, you get to know, when you meet Francisca, you get to know a whole lot of Francisca before I come into the picture. So you get to, identify certain features about Francisca before I come in. So there isn't that mix-up ever. But friends sometimes get confused. They say, yeah, are you Audrey or Francisca? But, it's who you're familiar with. If you're familiar with Audrey, you expect a certain reaction when you meet her. And when you get that, you know that that's Audrey. If you do not get that, then you know that's Francisca.
And you say you still play football. How much of it do you do now?
Oh, it's been a while.
So Francisca plays with you still?
Yes.
I don't see her playing football.
Francisca is a number 6, so.
But you look more sportier than she does.
Really? Mm-hmm. It's because probably you see her in the corporate outfits, the heels and the shoes, the dresses, so you probably wouldn't appreciate her physique. But Francisca is a number 6. She was handling, midfield, distribution. She was good. I like to play the wing or attack.
Did mom and dad ever watch you play football?
No, unfortunately, it happened in school most of the time. So secondary school, and we went to school in Cape Coast, Holy Child. So it's they hear of it or they see pictures. I misplaced my album, but I did have a picture of the school team and in the jerseys and all of that.
At this point, you still play football? Where?
I play with my nephew now, but I was in a training program at Gimpa, and we try to. So it's difficult now because of work.
So
but
you are still learning.
Learning.
Tell us what you learn about. You do creative arts, creative stuff. When you wake up in the morning, if you are pursuing further education, what will it be? You did psychology in school?
Yeah, I majored in psychology for my graduate degree. I'm currently studying at the business school. I'm doing MBA finance because the carpenter will need to know business,
you don't
right?
have to count
exactly
her money.
Exactly. When you're done with the you go and count the money. So you need to have a fair understanding and grip of your business affairs. I never trained as an artist.
If you had your way, would you have done that instead of going to
no regrets,
psychology?
No.
What has the studies in psychology done for you?
Psychology studies human behavior, really. And it helped me really observe people. I really am observant. I observe people. I observe people's behavior patterns. I'm not a psychologist, but I've learned these things. And my interaction with my artisans, my interaction with my clients, partners, whoever, even you, I like to observe and try to understand the individual before I approach. So I can maybe speculate that this person is this way, so, or is a bit laid back. So I have to approach him or her, be it a client or whoever, I know some of my artisans, I have to go to them. If they have a problem, they won't come to me.
So psychology was the best for you?
I'd say pretty much, yeah, I'd say.
What excites Audrey?
Oh my goodness, interesting. Ice cream, you know.
Ice cream?
Yeah.
Guys, we have to get Audrey some ice cream before we leave here.
I'd really love that. After a long day's work, ice cream is cold, right? And then you just take a scoop or, you know, it just, I don't know if you share the same, it feels like a rush downwards. And it takes all the stress away, like, ah.
I know many ladies who avoid ice cream because they don't want to lose their shape. You don't have any such worries?
No. In my earlier years, I was very sportive. My work makes me do a lot of activity, and I work out sometimes. So I don't worry too much about my weight. And my eating habits are terrible. I'm working on that. So I don't worry much about
So you know what upsets you most? How can I get you upset? So upset.
Do you think I should say this on TV?
So
if I have
you will
political
get angry,
ambitions.
you will get angry and walk out of set.
Oh, as you grow, right, you let go of certain things. You get mature, and certain things become petty to you. But I'm almost a perfectionist, and if I'm unable to do something, I get really upset. Upset with myself, upset with everybody around me because I can't do it. That's it. And if I do get it done, and I'm the happiest person, you know, running around, jumping around, saying hello to everybody, that's how I am.
What inspires you in this creative field?
My number one inspiration will be God. I say this because anytime I go back to Genesis to read the Bible,
Oh, she reads the Bible.
I'm Christian. Yes. I'm awed by how the whole creation process was. I call him the master artist, you know, how he created man. He didn't just slap, you know, clay left, right. He designed you in a certain way. And I look up to, I will never reach that standard, but I look up to that.
There are many young African or Ghanaian ladies who'd like to look up to you. Give me three words that you think they should be guided by.
I say this all the time, discipline should be number one. If you want to do something and do it well, you must have discipline. You have to wake up in the morning, go online and read about carpentry. You have to go to the workshop even when it's the time of the month and you are not feeling too good.
So discipline.
Discipline. I'd say your inner self. I experienced this thing with a young lady. She was held back. I'd say let it out. Let go of yourself.
Expressive.
Yeah, let go of yourself. Just let your inner self out. Except maybe if it's a sinister, evil person. I'm just kidding. But let your inner self out. Let us bring yourself out. If you find yourself in whatever job, if you do not come out of here, we're raised a certain way. We're raised to coil up, especially women, hands behind your back and all of that. It kind of suppresses creativity in people. And if you don't let yourself come out of that shell, you probably not even know how creative you are.
So be disciplined, be confident. And then my
last one, I'd say
5 seconds.
I'd say be positive-minded. Don't give up. Just be positive-minded.
On that positive note, we bring this exciting personality profile to a close. My name is Malik Abbas Dabu. My guest has been Audrey Forson, the carpenter. Audrey, thank you.
Thank you, Malik.
God willing, on Monday, we will bring you another sizzling discussion on PM Express. Until then, be good.